A story a week, the mind's masterpiece, a work of art from heart to heart. Tales of wonder, wonder she inspires. Upon her canvas, worlds are built, hearts are healed, hopes restored, dreams revealed, puzzles solved, faiths take flight, good works are born. A story a week. Sit back and relish this week's story. Wonderful always.
In you, Lord, I am made true.
The Requiem service was drawing to a close. It was time for speeches. Nghonzo stood up, walked toward the casket, and looked through the glass lid at his father's serene, calm body. The pain that had marked his father's long battle with cancer seemed absent now, replaced by peace. Nghonzo felt an uncanny connection with his father at that moment. Writing the eulogy had been difficult, but in many ways it was the beginning of his healing. Without raising his hand too high, he gently, almost timidly, waved goodbye to his father and approached the lectern. He placed his papers on the stand and nodded at the minister, his mother, his sister, and then the congregation. Standing there, vulnerable, he felt overwhelmed, unsure of what they expected. Did they want to see a son who had gathered his strength after losing someone so dear? Or would they offer him compassion for his grief? He coughed, a faint attempt to break the tension. Nghonzo's worry stemmed from a societal expectation to hold it together in times of loss. Alaba, his best friend, noticed his hesitation and walked up to the stand to stand beside him. This simple gesture carried a silent message. It is okay to be yourself, but remember, your father would love to hear your words of farewell, even if they are muffled by tears. Alaba's support reminded him that it was okay to feel vulnerable. It was a moment that allowed Nghonzo to embrace the first stage of healing, accepting grief. He realized, however, that genuine healing begins by acknowledging the pain and not ignoring it. He cleared his throat as if to break the tension, took a deep breath, and began reading. My father's life was one of diligence and enterprise. He pursued various ventures as if his entire livelihood depended on them. While he worked as a civil servant, he never let that define his limits. Whether teaching in a classroom, selling fresh peanuts and plantains at the market, or offering bread for breakfast the next morning at his shop, he brought joy to everyone he encountered. His kindness made him well loved by people of all ages. Nghonzo paused, scanning the room before continuing. He was a man of extraordinary resilience, embracing both the easy and hard parts of life with equal grace. I remember one night when thieves broke into our home. They entered through the bathroom window, rummaged through my parents' wardrobe, and stole money and valuables. When he woke up and discovered the break-in, he checked on us children and found us all sleeping soundly. Even in such a situation, his first words were wonderful. It wasn't the fear or loss that stood out to him, but the peace that followed. His calm demeanor in the midst of chaos, that was his strength. Not an absence of weakness, but his ability to rise from it. Nghonzo paused, then added, my father was a man of great positivity. It was his trademark trait. But he was also, like everyone in this room, just a human being. He didn't shy away from his vulnerabilities. As I grew into my early 30s, he would often share with me the things that troubled his heart. He was not afraid to admit his own weaknesses, and in those moments, I saw the depth of his humanity. What I admired most was that, even after sharing his worries, he would always find a way to comfort himself. Nghonzo's voice wavered as he continued. My father had this catchphrase, wonderful, which he used to respond to almost every situation, no matter how challenging it was. It was as if he had a secret recipe for life, a pinch of optimism, a dash of humor, a burst of lamentation, a look of surprise, and a heaping spoonful of grace. Whether my sister and I called him with good news or bad news, he would respond with a cheerful, wonderful. If sales at the market didn't go well, he would come home and say, well, it was still a wonderful day. When he returned home to my mom's delicious meal, he would say wonderful in appreciation of her culinary skills. Visitors at the house, he would warmly welcome them with a cheerful, wonderful. It became a ritual. I'll never forget the day I graduated from the university with flying colors. He looked at me and exclaimed, wow, that's a World Cup, and we all erupted in laughter. Nghonzo threw a glance at the casket, slightly shaking his head from left to right as a sign of truly missing his dad. His friend Alaba, who had been standing on the side all along, moved closer and hugged him. He didn't say a word. His arms wrapped Nghonzo in comfort, giving him time to get comfortable, and from the silence in the room, you could tell the crowd showed patience and understanding at the hiccups that interfered his oration every once in a while. Nghonzo bit his lower lip tightly to let his emotions hiss out slowly, but his mind walked back memory lane to the day his father had announced the cancer diagnosis to him on the phone. Son, I have just received a wonderful piece of news. The doctors say I have prostate cancer. And what is wonderful in that? Nghonzo remembered his voice had erupted across the telephone, torn between laughter and tears. He had not known if to cry for the news or to laugh at his father's diction. But now he could not help smiling at that father-son conversation 3 years ago. Now the joke is on you, Dad, he muttered in his breath. Then he looked across the podium, down at his father's casket, and said, Father, it is wonderful that you finally caved in to this wonderful cancer, he said, smiling. Just then, someone in the pews hollered lightheartedly, wonderful indeed. This set off a light-hearted laughter accompanied by applause rippling across the church hall. Even Nghonzo's grieving mother lit up, surprised at her son's sense of humor and the effect it had generated in the audience. For a while, the humor helped thaw the icy solemnity and the sadness in the room, a reminder that even in sorrow, joy can always find a way in. It was clear that his father was widely known for his catchphrase, wonderful. Nghonzo too laughed, and releasing himself from Alaba's comforting embrace, he gave a thumbs up to the man who interjected from the crowd. That's how he was able to pick up his lines again. I often joked that wonderful was my father's magic wand, he said, smiling heartily. I can still hear it echoing through the years, a delightful rhythm that was and is the soundtrack of our lives. But while his positivity was a trademark trait, he was also a strict father. He had clear expectations about how we should present ourselves, nothing above the knee and our chest always covered. He taught us that while it's important to embrace joy, respect for ourselves and others is equally vital. Randomly, he would take my sister and me out for treats, giving us the latitude to be free-spirited and have fun with him. His joyful spirit turned every moment into something special. He was our hero. He paused in reflection. Nghonzo was the eldest of 2 children, and his family meant everything to him. His father, Pa Ndemanu, had been the heart of their home, always joyful, spreading warmth to neighbors and friends alike. His father was a man of goodwill, and his kindness extended beyond his immediate family. He was a family man, jovial, and cared deeply for his loved ones. He welcomed extended relatives into their home, providing them with the chance to pursue an education. Together with his mother, they ensured that every child under their roof had what they needed to succeed both in school and in life. Breaking the silence again, he said directly to his daddy, "Dear Dad, you hardly ever sang in public. Your home was your concert hall. Every morning, your praise, your worship, and thanksgiving songs would rouse the whole house. Mother nicknamed you Christian after a song you sang or hummed almost every day for the most part of the day. We could tell that song had become your signature tune. I literally hear the song singing in my head now. I am a new man in a new world, a new man in a new world. I am a new man in a new world, a new man forever. My name Christian, my name Christian, my name Christian forever. My name Christian, my name Christian, my name Christian forever. The congregation joined in, their voices blending with his, carrying the weight of shared grief and hope. The choir's drums added a heartbeat to the song, and for a moment, the room felt alive again. I am a new man in a new world, a new man in a new world. I am a new man in a new world, a new man forever. His voice wavered as the final notes of the song lingered in the air, and with a deep breath, he returned to the eulogy. So sometimes we would call him Papa, other times Papa Chris, and other times Papa Christian. It might have been a nickname, but it was a wonderful name because it was true to his faith, which was his anchor all through his life, especially in his last days. His death feels like a seismic shift, releasing waves of sorrow, but it is not a call to despair. He was one who blessed the atmosphere wherever he would go, and though now he lays cold in the casket, this atmosphere is blessed with the beautiful memories we have of him. If he were to wake up from this deep sleep, to just say one word and then fall back asleep, he would wonderfully say, "Wonderful." Nghonzo could see heads nodding in affirmation. This moment, then, is not just about reflecting on his life, but on our own. As Christians, we believe that death is not the end. It is a beginning. Though we die to live, as we know that our Lord has gone to prepare an eternal place for us, where we will live with him forever. May we be reminded that we are citizens of heaven. Let that comfort us as we live on. My father was at peace with God, and that gives me and my family peace now. He paused again, this time with newfound strength. Like Jesus' disciples who were heartbroken at his death, we too mourn, but we know that this is not the end. Let the values we have learned from my father, Papa Christian, and all the other loved ones whom we have lost to death influence our lives for the better. As we remember them, may the sweet memories help us pick up strength, and may we move forward, knowing that we will meet them again someday. For now we grieve, but we also embrace hope, looking unto the God of all comfort and the grace with which to continue. After he finished his speech, he put his papers together, looked across the church hall, and thanked the people for their attendance and comfort. The people clapped in response for his wonderful funeral oration as he walked away from the lectern, his friend Alaba following behind.
Washed in the water, my soul is free. The chains are broken, Now I can see a heart made pure, a life renewed. In you, Lord, I am made true. I am a new man in a new world, a new man in a new world. I am a new man in a new world, a new man forever.
Wonderful always.